It was almost 10 years ago that we put together What's Your Word? It was this music video whereby for about 2 weeks I had a little camera that did a little video bit, and I ran around on Sunday morning, picked up the choir here and picked up people in coffee hour there, picked up people coming out of the church, and basically one question: what's your word? And the word was that word you chose in order to kind of capture what it was about this community that meant something to you. So people said community, said love, family, tradition, lots of words, and it was fun to put that together. So 10 years later, I'm thinking about another video, and this one I'd like to entitle, What's Your Way? And what I mean by that is, what way are you now finding to bring into this world, rather boldly, a bit of inspiration, a bit of grace, a bit of love? How is it you channel divine love? And you can do that in a variety of ways. In fact, there are probably countless ways that human beings find to bring into the world that which is healing, that which is beautiful, that which is artful. So it could be one of numbers. You could start with something, early in life and then graduate to something else. You could be paid for it or not. But if you find that thing that really floats your boat, that kind of gives you some joy, and you work hard at it, blood, sweat, and tears, you might one day be confirmed that indeed that is your way when you take another's breath away. That's when you really know that you've arrived, when people watch whatever it is you're doing, even washing dishes, may I say, and people go, wow, there's something coming through whatever they're dancing, whatever they're doing, whatever they're saying, whatever gesture. There's this, you and I, take something and master it in a way that allows us to become a channel of grace. And there's no higher calling, there's no greater joy than that. I'm having trouble with this one this morning. So, as I said, when someone takes your breath away, it can be the beginning for you of getting some sense of what it is that is your thing. And for me, as a 7-year-old, it was ice hockey and skating. Skating before hockey. My mom, and this might have been another confirmation, the thing about the way that is your way is it often resonates with you at a way that, at a level that you don't even realize, because it connects with your natural gifts. I've got gifts that others don't have, and vice versa. But my mom told me that my grandfather was a great hockey player in college, and I've seen the photos, and there was something in there that was sort of confirming, and my mom saying, well, you must have inherited the genes or something. So at about 7 or 8, I dreamed literally that everything would freeze over, and then I could throw on my skates and just skate, go to skate to school, do everything on skates. And I did buy skates, and I got on them, and in pretty quick order I could move on those skates. And I thought, well, the next thing to do is to pick up a hockey stick, and that worked, and I was on my way. And even after school, I would grab my skates, and even when the sun was going down, Skittery Gusset, I love that name, Skittery Gusset was a little pond not far from my house. And I would take my skates, and I'd get on my bike, and I'd go down there all by myself, and practice skating. I'd practice stops and going in. I was a defenseman, so I had to master going backwards, and I just loved it, and I put in the extra time, and it paid off, and it makes me appreciate that when you find your way, there's no amount of falling on, literally, when I first learned to skate, falling on your face and looking foolish and losing hockey games. There are all sorts of ways, once you've decided that this is my thing, that you are going to be discouraged. And yet, if you stay with it, and as St. Francis says, if you join forces with God in order to bring into this world something beautiful, you're entitled to privileges. St. Francis says this: once you have what it is that is your thing, you're at a place where he says, what do you have to fear? Nothing. Whom do you have to fear? No one. Why? Because whoever has joined forces with God obtains three great privileges: omnipotence without power, intoxication without wine, and finally, life without death. Those are three to ponder, and they are the privileges of the one who has found the way, because as you move down that way and are willing to take on all kinds of bad stuff, hard times, if you don't give up and if you keep going, you begin to experience the privileges. And I dare say, the one that comes to mind, this idea of omnipotence without power, there's a sense of, not worldly power, right? There's a sense of, I'm in a place now that it feels like I can't be touched, that my worth, my dignity cannot be diminished. And for that matter, the sense of life that I have cannot be taken away from me. There's another gentleman, another quote I want to share with you that kind of makes the point. This quote could actually have been a rewording of today's gospel, where Jesus is saying, guess what? I'm on my way, and I anticipate I'm going to get so abused. And Peter's hearing this and saying, no. At all costs, Jesus, at all costs, avoid pain and suffering. That has become often our mantra, that we don't see beyond the pain and suffering. And Jesus is saying, no, you've got your focus elsewhere. Focus on the divine things. There are privileges that come with sticking to this and going through the hardship, going through the mess, going through the pain, the suffering. We're not trying to suffer for suffer's sake, but we're on our way to something. We're on the way, and when things get tough, you stay on the way, and then things begin to happen. So here's another quote. Again, this could be a rewording of the gospel. Excuse the non-inclusive language. The man who, being really on the way, capital W, the man who really being on the way, who falls upon hard times in the world, will not, as a consequence, turn to that friend, Peter, turn to that friend who offers him refuge and comfort and encourages his old self to survive. No, rather, he will seek out someone who will faithfully and inexorably help him to risk himself, so that he may endure the suffering and pass courageously through it. Only to the extent that man, human beings, you and me, expose ourselves over and over again to annihilation, that's putting it heavily. I'm talking as a 7-year-old just falling down on the ice and getting up again. But, if I were 18 and starting skating and didn't want to look like a fool on the ice going down, maybe I wouldn't even get on the ice. But if I get on the ice and fall down and sort of annihilate that sense of, oh my gosh, I look foolish, if you let that go and get back up on your skates and keep going, he says, this is, by the way, Gottfried Graf Durkheim, philosopher from Germany, he says, only to the extent that one exposes oneself over and over again to annihilation can that which is indestructible arise within us. In this lies the dignity of daring. Paul is in our heads. Paul is in our lives. And it's the person who says, don't go there. Don't risk that. That's going to hurt. That's going to make you look foolish. Don't do that. And Jesus is wise enough to say, get behind me. Get behind me, because I am called to bring forth into this world all that I can, channeling grace by mastering, however long it takes, however hard it is, mastering my way, my thing that allows grace to come into this world. Peter's problem, and maybe at ours at times, is Peter needs someone to come along and take his breath away and inspire him to know that there is far, far, far more that we are being given that lies just beyond a little pain and a little suffering. Amen.